It also means that each phase of the project must be submitted at a later date once plans are more fully developed to obtain the board's final approval to the individual portion of the project. Hopefully any disagreements will have been worked out before the applicant comes back to the board. One of the projects being reviewed this evening has been submitted before and is now ready to be considered for further approval. For those of you who may be new to our meeting, our charge is to look at each project purely on aesthetics, design, architecture, height, mass, and scale, and in harmony with the historic district in the town of Somerville. We look at the overall street scene. Although we're not required to solicit comments from anyone other than the applicant and board members, except for demolition requests, we usually choose to allow others to express comments that might help influence our decision making after the applicant has presented the project and the board members have resolved any questions they might have. As always, we will review each submittal in the order that it was submitted. However, as a first order of business, we must approve the minutes of our last meeting, which were sent to board members for review prior to this meeting. Are there any changes that are needed to be made, or do I have a motion that they be accepted?
I move that it be accepted.
And a second?
Second, Tim Kennedy.
All right, please respond with the yes or no when I call your name. Jeff? Rachel?
Yes.
Cecile?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And Jeff, I saw you raise your hand. I assume that's a yes. And mine is yes. Our first project for tonight is 302 Rutherford Street, a request to replace the existing front door. Lisa, are you here?
Yes.
Please tell us about it.
The existing door is, I don't know how old it is. I think Becca said it dates back to like 1979 and it's in disrepair. It's got some swelling and stuff, so it's not really where it can be repaired. I had initially spoken with y'all back in December about the door. Y'all had given me some sort of approval, which I misunderstood about the replacement of it. And at the time you had requested that I put in a wooden door as opposed to a fiberglass door. The problem that I'm having is because of the, I guess, the age of the structure, I can't get a door that's the size. It's requiring to be replaced with a 32-inch door. I've also included, since then, gone through the historic district and included probably a list of about 20 properties that have either in the historic district with the addresses that have either a fiberglass or a metal door. 2 of the residences have the exact same door that I want to replace to put on the front of this house.
Well, several of those houses that have non-wooden doors were never approved by the BAR.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm asking is I'm telling you that it already exists. I'm having difficulty because they don't make a wood door that's this small. I'm guessing it's because of the age of the house, that the door is so small. And if I'm going to change the size of the door, that would be, tearing into the frame of the house, which I think would be, something you wouldn't desire. The exact same door is actually located. One of them's on. I think one's on Doty and one's that right there. Let's see. There's one on 102 South Hickory has the exact same door, and the one that's up right now is Doty Street. Is the exact same door that I'm trying to put up. That door right there, and then there's a red door that's on Hickory. Right there. Go back. That door. That's the front door that I'd like to use. And it's fiberglass. You wouldn't ever even know it was fiberglass unless you tore it apart and had someone look at it. It feels like wood. The presentation is continuous. There's not any plastic on it. You know, it's a continuous door.
What are the window mullions? You gonna paint them like the one which is this one? The one at. Sorry, I'm looking at your pictures you sent. The first
a
house that
redwood-
you sent. The one with
There's
the
a
green
redwood.
door. The first picture you sent with the green door. Where is that one located?
That one.
Yes, ma'am.
That one and the red one that she showed are both, they're painted in its entirety. So the little grids that go across and everything, it's one piece in the door, so it'd all be painted the same color.
And the door you've got is this one from Lowe's that you want to use?
Yes.
And
It's a 30.
those
That one
mullions-
says 36, but it has to be a 32-inch door.
Yeah, sure. And you can still get a 32-inch wood door. They are special order. So I'm sure that that's part of the problem, that they would be a special order. But
Yes, and with manufacturing, you know, with all that's going on now, it's
Yeah.
hard to get hardly any building material.
yeah, it is. I mean, I'm sure it would take you, 8 to 10 weeks probably to get it special ordered.
They've told me like it could be 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the rest of the house is coming along. I'd like to go ahead and finish it if possible. So I'm asking if we could do the door that I've submitted.
Any other comments?
Have you selected a color?
Yes, I've submitted it with Becca. I'm going to paint the front door black. The shutters will be black, and then the house is going to be, I don't have it in front of me because I gave it to the painter today. It's one of the historic colors. The historic black color is the hitching post something. Let me see if I can find it on my phone from Becca.
It's fun. I was just curious.
It's like between a yellow and a cream color, the house
Yeah.
is, but the door would be black.
Okay. Tim, what say you?
Oh, I mean, it's always my preference that we keep a historic house with a wood door, but I do understand the challenge that she's facing.
Yeah.
So as long as the mullions and the windows look like the one with the green door, the first picture she sent, I think that one looks okay and would be acceptable. I think the later ones that she sent, and I'm sorry, I don't know all these addresses, but like the one that's 114, that's kind of a yellowish cream door that needs to be painted. That frame to me is not acceptable. And I know that's not the style you're looking for, but
That's actually that's actually a metal door. So it would not be.
yeah, I'm trying to point out the difference, the subtle differences between those two, and how one kind of looks okay, but the other one just really doesn't look like a quality door at all. So I guess with that understanding, I guess I would say we should approve it. Would be my vote.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Please.
I would like it if it's approved for it to be approved with the caveat that this is not opening the door for us, no pun intended, opening the door for us to abandon the requirement that doors be wood.
Yes, David, I completely agree.
I would concur. It's it's primarily because it's a pandemic, and it seriously is very difficult to get the products
materials
delivered.
It is. It is. And the fiberglass door is a vast improvement over the current door that she's having to have right now. So
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, when we've got a motion and a second, vote yes or no for me. Jeff? Rachel?
Yes.
Cecile?
Yes, with the caveat that David added.
Aye. Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes,
And mine is yes. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your consideration.
You're
the
welcome. Good luck
exception.
with your project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next project is 124 West 5th South Street. I saw the Eleanor, will you go ahead and unmute and tell us about your project, please?
Great. Hi, thank you. We have an existing narrow shed along the back right corner. If you go back to the plat, okay, this is the existing small narrow shed in that back right corner. And we want to go off of it in a very small mast carport, 2-car carport. As you can see at the end elevation in the top left, the existing shed is on the right, and this would go off to the left of that. The side elevation shows that the ridge of the roof would be just 10 feet deep. And then it has essentially porch wings of the roof going front and back to mimic our front porch. And it's going to be wood, metal roof. The top right photograph shows the dilapidated, very cheap metal roof that's on it now. In the background is the Thorntons, the roof line of the Thorntons, larger carport. This would essentially, the mass of it would go essentially just about the length of the darker, go back to that last one. Behind my car, there's a darker recessed part of, that's an open part of the shed. And it essentially, the ridge of it would be about that length. And then the wings of it front and back would cover the depth of the cars. And it the post to the post to the main mass of it would be, if you go to that photograph sheet beforehand, keep going. Okay. Top right, whoops, go back. Where that palmetto tree is, there's a brick walkway there, and one of the posts would go right there straight over, so that the walkway is under the covered area. And the wing of the front wing, essentially porch look, would come, I think, over the red door to the enclosed part of the shed. The back two sections of the shed are open.
Eleanor, this is the one that we did review back in 2016, isn't it? And
That's right.
and approved it back then.
That's right.
I thought so.
If y'all want to look at the evaluation on the staff report, which I have pulled up right now, or if you want to pull it up on your own computer, I pasted the conditions of approval from the previous COA. So I don't know if y'all want to take a look at that real quick as well.
Hey, Eleanor, this is Tim Kennedy. How are you?
Hey, Tim. Great.
Good. So the sketches that you provided kind of show a metal roof, but I think the previous approval was for a shingle roof. What's your intentions this time?
We're planning on putting a metal roof.
Okay, great.
It's the same metal roof that was on the 12 by 12 extension of our porch that we added on 2012. So it's
Is
the
that in one
same
of your
roof.
pictures, Eleanor?
Yeah,
That's that.
right
Oh, yeah,
there.
I see it there.
right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. And the only thing, Eleanor, I think that we would add to that, and I can't tell looking from that picture, we try to get away from that striation. I think that has like a little ridge down the middle. Is that right?
Hold on just a minute.
It's hard to tell. We try to get people to use the panel more like you have on your front porch, the front of your house, if possible.
Okay, this is a leftover piece.
Oh, yes, yes. Yep.
Same color, kind of a brick red.
Oh, so, and that's actually a screw down roof, isn't it?
I have no idea. I think so.
I understand. I think that is. I think that's a V metal roof.
When you see you may not be able to see. Anyway, it's the same that was approved for the porch. There won't be much of the roof showing on,
Right.
of course, on this, except that the roof will tie in and replace the very leaky metal roof that's on the existing shed right now.
Right. Right.
As you can see, it's way back up the driveway. So
yeah, I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? May I have a motion?
I'd make a motion that we approve the project as submitted with the metal roof, since that's what they're planning to do now, and not the
Yeah.
shingles that's in the previous approval.
right.
And
I
with,
second it. I second it.
is that with the V-crimp, the roofing material she showed us?
You know, David, I didn't change the roofing material since that's what's on the back of the house already.
Okay,
I've already done one addition, and it is a shed. And it's,
Just wanted to clarify what we
yeah,
were doing.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right, please answer yes or no for me. Jeff? Rachel?
Yes.
Cecile?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And mine is yes. Thank you, Eleanor.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good luck with your project, guys.
Thank you. We can't
Yeah.
wait. Thanks. I'm going to sign off now. Is that okay?
Fine.
It is.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for your help.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome to come over, neighbors. I see several of you come over for a carport blessing. Thank you.
All right, our next one is 519 West Carolina. The Floyds, are you with us? Yeah, there you are. Please tell us about it.
Alicia, can you hear us?
There she goes.
Yes, ma'am, I am here. I was going to ask Jason, the contractor, to speak to it, but I'm happy to if necessary.
Is he on, Lenny?
Yeah, he's on. He's just muted. There he goes. He's on now.
All right, well, y'all can just explain the project and the board members will ask their questions.
Well, if Jason's still on mute, time is a precious commodity, so I will move forward. We have the intentions of converting our back porch into a living space, and where there was historically screen, replacing it with windows. The siding will match the current exterior of the home. We will also have, per code, the brick with the ventilation system below. It has pre-existing lighting and electrical. There will be no changes to that pre-existing, nor the pre-existing entry of the door. That will remain the same.
Any questions?
What are the elevations?
I'm not sure on the elevations. It will be current elevations. There's no change to the foundation as it was a pre-existing structure.
No, but what do the elevations look like?
Jason, can you help me with that? don't
You've
have-
got the rear elevation here, David. I don't think we have much of a side elevation, but
I didn't see
I
any.
didn't see any. I didn't either.
this,
Can you pull
the
that up,
top
Becca?
top right
Yeah.
corner. There's the rear elevation.
That doesn't show me very much. What do the windows look like? What are they, how are they going to be?
These are the cut sheets that we have for them.
And they weren't very helpful either. I don't see any detail as to how they're going to be installed, whether they're going to be picture framed or put in the way we require. So I'd like to have an explanation of more detail on the fenestration. How do you feel, Tim?
Well, let me ask a couple of questions. Is the current house is vinyl siding? Is that correct?
Yes, sir, correct.
And the addition is in the back where really we can't really see this from the road, correct?
Correct.
And so your additions, your porch that you're going to do is basically you're continuing with the vinyl siding trim and you're using vinyl windows. Is that correct? By these cut
Yes, the
sheets, it looks like
vinyl-
they're just vinyl windows.
The vinyl will continue and it is a
Okay.
vinyl frame.
Gotcha. You know, David, I think my thoughts here, and everybody else feel free to chime in, but considering that the house is is currently vinyl siding and this is in the back of the house and they're continuing with the same vinyl siding, I guess I probably don't have a whole lot of questions about the details since we can't really see it from the road. If this was more visible, if it was on the side of the house or something, I would feel differently about it. But since it's pretty much in their backyard and you can't really see it, I guess I probably don't have too much concern. But if others do, that's certainly okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Jeff.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I think as long as the addition matches the rest of the house, the trim on the windows, and I think that it's fine.
Yeah. And the one with the arched top, that's an existing window, correct? That's just, y'all are just showing what that looks like over there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So do the windows have any mullions or are they clear glass? What?
Clear glass.
And that's typical of the ones on the back of the house. Are they all that same way?
Correct. It's completely benchmarking the pre-existing back window to match.
Gotcha. So when we look at the little sketch that you did, you've got the one that has an arched top over it. That's all existing. And you guys are kind of mimicking that on the back porch, but without the arched top.
Yeah, and
Yes, sir. Yes,
it's-
sir.
Okay.
It's evident from the previous picture that there was no windowsill or trim around the windows, typical of vinyl windows.
That's right.
I did get an email from GW, who actually lives across the street, in support of the project as it's not visible from the right of way. I almost had trouble finding the house other than, having my GPS, but GW emailed me this afternoon to give his support, and I could pull the email up right now. I would, but my computer's being a little slow.
Would you
I
show
don't
us
think
the
that's
plat
necessary.
again, Becca? Could we see the plat again?
Yeah. Well, I don't.
I'm not sure exactly what that property backs up to.
There, I believe in Alicia and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, there's another house. There's an access point here, and I believe it goes back to this house.
Correct. There's 2 houses behind us. We have a shared driveway. Mike and
Right.
Bob are behind us. It's a very wooded area. So majority is just large trees.
And then whose house is that to the right?
Depending if
On
it's
West Carolina.
we have Rita and Barry to one side of us and Casey to the other.
Okay.
The back,
I've never been back in there. That's why I'm asking. And
But-
we keep saying it's not visible from the street and so forth, but my fellow board members have heard me say this before. We're so subject to storms here. You never know when something is going to become visible down the road. So I think what you do needs to definitely to match the rest of the house, the windows and so forth. And I would much prefer if we could see elevations on the, in other words, and you might not understand what we're talking about, your contractor certainly does, but how it will look. That is our main concern with the BAR, is how something is going to look. That's what we mostly have purview over. And this doesn't really show us what it's going to look like.
Well, I kind of feel like Tim, that the structure's already there. They're just going from screen to windows.
We don't even know how many windows are going to be. She said it
Well-
would be enclosed by windows, I think.
Are there going to be windows on the side as well, or just 3 windows on the back?
it's 3 sets of windows. So on each 3 sides, duplicative of what you see there, but without the arch.
Gotcha.
And yes, we will most certainly make sure it's aesthetically pleasing with the same material. The structure is pre-existing, as is the electrical and lighting. Quite simply, we're taking a screen space, taking the exact same window structure and matching the home.
Yeah,
Are
I
there
would.
any-
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Phil.
I'm looking for a motion.
Well, I was going to say I'll make a motion that we approve it as submitted, as long as with the caveat that the details match the existing home.
Second.
A second. All right, please answer as I call your name. Jeff,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Cecile,
Yes,
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and I say yes. So, Lisa, wish you well on it.
Thank you very much. My 3-year-old's doing a happy dance. It'll be
Oh, good. Good luck.
exit the meeting, then you all have a blessed evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Our next one is 105 Hickory Street.
Yes, guys. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm calling in. I'm on the road, so I'm not on my computer. So if everybody can hear me okay. But we live up on Central Avenue, corner of Central and Second, right across from Short Central there. And so my dad is moving to the area. And so we had originally bought this home for my father. He's since let me know that he would rather live on a farm. So we are thinking we might want to improve it now and resell it. So we will be going to the town hopefully next week for all the pertinent permits for work on the inside. But regarding the outside, we are requesting approval to paint the brick. And I love most of our downtown. I know you all are not a huge fans of painting masonry in the historic district. There's a lot of homes downtown that I love the look of. In fact, our neighbor's house, it's gorgeous on Central. I love her house. It's brick. But I haven't yet had anyone tell me that this is pretty brick. I've actually had 3 neighbors introduce themselves to me and say, please, for the love of God, paint that brick. So I don't think I'm alone in wanting to paint this brick. And so we're trying to look at options of trying to tone down that, just the gob of brick and how dark it is and whatnot. And so we tried to pick, neutral colors and give you guys an idea of what those colors would look like together on the home itself. So we're not looking to do anything crazy, but just trying to tone this thing down because it's a bit of an eyesore. And I don't think that we're the only ones that have thought that.
Isn't that a bricked over clapboard house?
I don't know the answer to that.
It is.
I would imagine it is because the brick's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
It that was documented in one of the SHPO surveys. So to answer your question, yes.
Which always throws all proportion off.
Yeah.
Well, it's also
And it looks like the windows replacement was poorly done.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Agreed. And they went in there on the porch, that lower third area or whatever. I thought they just went in there with smaller windows from a cost, perspective, but on the porch, those are original window or old. I don't know if they're original, but I know that they're older than the ones that you're seeing from the road. And underneath them is like a decorative wood inlay. And so I think that they've somehow, because they have this vinyl material under the windows that you can see from the road that I think make it look cheap, in my opinion. But I'm hoping your eye wouldn't be drawn to that if we can tone it down a bit.
Well, I think this would probably, from my perspective, would be one of those we approve for painting the brick. So
I would concur. The dark color brick with the edges where it turns every corner exaggerated by the mortar is a very unattractive look. So I would say this like you, Tim, it's the one situation where I think the home would be greatly improved by being painted.
Yeah, and it's got a great porch on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that porch. Porch. And you don't see that continuous curve on these porches very much anymore.
No, you don't.
No.
Well, I would make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
May I ask now, what about the trim? The brick is going to be gray, the door is going to be blue. What about the trim, and especially those panels underneath the windows? What are you going to do with that?
Yeah. So we've if you'll see the packet, I've included a sample of paint that's in Moonlit Snow, which is a white. So we'll be keeping the trim as it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do agree that having the walls gray with the white trim won't make the windows pop out and look so prominent.
It'd be nice to find a old picture of the house when it was clapboard and see what those window openings really looked like.
Agreed.
Well, we have a motion and a second, so.
Let me ask a quick question. I also see there's a request for a picket fence in here. Is that part of the request as well?
Not currently, because Becca was able to approve that on a staff level. So everything's been approved. I know we already have that approval in here. Yeah.
Very good.
But for your information, it's the same fence that's at our primary house on Central that you all approved not long ago.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Cecile,
Yes,
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and mine is yes also. We wish you well.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
too.
you too.
Thank you.
Ready. Bye.
Our next one is 210 Salisbury Drive. Another screen porch conversion. Becca, who is that?
I believe we have someone on the line for this, don't we?
Richard?
Yes. Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Hey, Richard. How y'all doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Tell us about it.
Yes, I represent my client, Mary Kill. And basically what we have is an existing screen porch on the back of the house with a gable roof. It's an existing foundation. So everything's already there. We're not changing the footprint of it. It's basically doing similar to the project that you talked about earlier. Miss Mary wants to change it to somewhat of a sunroom. So as far as like it's on the back of the house, you can't really see it from the road. And like I say, everything's already there. We're basically just changing it with framing up our walls and adding windows. I think the illustrations kind of give you an idea of what it would look like when we get done.
Okay, the elevation there appears that the windows are going to have a proper sill and surround.
Yes, sir. The windows is showing on the elevation shot right there. Is the grills are going to be a little bit different. They're going to have just 2 single grills up top, which are actually going to match what's on the existing house now. As far as your grills on the windows.
But yeah, 3 over.
If you can see the window to the right there,
So
where she
3
has.
over 1?
Yeah. So basically the windows will actually look identical to those to that as far as the grill pattern, as far as the mullions.
And the windows in the existing house are wood?
No, sir. They actually have been replaced with vinyl at one time. I have no idea when that was done.
Okay. Do they have a traditional sill? It looks like they do.
Yeah, they were definitely replaced at one time. Again, I'm not sure when that project was done with vinyl replacement windows.
I think it does have a seal, probably from the old windows.
Yes.
So the replacement windows are the new windows for the addition. Are the mullions simulated divided light mullions, or are they trying to do between the glass?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Like the out with the picture that you're showing now with the 3 windows on the side, that would be like a complete unit. And then on the back side, there will be 3 double units on the back side. And then on the other side with the door will be 2 single units.
Okay. Well, I think my question is our guidelines and what we're talking about, the mullions in the windows. So you mentioned that you're going to have 3/1. So basically the top pane is going to be divided into 3 lights and the bottom pane will just be 1 light.
Correct.
And those mullions, our guidelines require basically those are simulated divided light. So doesn't have to be individual panes of glass, but the mullions themselves have to be on the outside of the window. So they can't be between the glass. So there are some kind of, we'll call them inexpensive vinyl windows where they put the mullions between the panes of glass, or they're snapping grids only on the inside. And our guidelines require outside mullions. So I think that would be one of the requirements here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was just trying to match what was already on the house right now.
Right. And we can't tell, I can't tell from these pictures what that is on the house right now.
Yeah, there's definitely vinyl replacement windows with the mullions on the inside of the window. Is what's on the house now.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
You have a front elevation of that house? Picture of the house?
Not in the presentation, I don't think. But I could pull it up if you need me to.
Yeah, would you please?
I pulled up one that was on Redfin online, Becca.
Yeah. Redfin always has pictures when none of the other ones do.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm telling you, I've caught some big lies with Redfin. And y'all, I apologize. This computer is really slow, so it's gonna take.
Do you want me to share a screen and show you?
Oh yeah, if they can, that would be great.
Do you guys see it?
Yeah.
So it's a very, traditional little bungalow.
Can you zoom in so we can see the windows a little better?
It looks like those windows only have 2 over.
They're actually 3.
Oh, they're 3 over.
Yeah, they are 3.
Oh, they are 3. I see now. There's
Yeah.
There's a shutter on the inside.
Correct,
that we're seeing
which
in
is changing that pattern, but they are 3
Yes.
over 1.
Gotcha. And Jerry, was the suggestion that it's going to be vinyl siding below the windows or around the windows?
Hardy board is what she wants to use, and then the color would be Snow White, Sherwin-Williams. So it would be not changing the color, whatsoever, because that's what's on it now.
All right. Yeah. So Hardy, very good.
Yeah.
So are we matching the windows that are there in terms of their mullion profile and being on the inside or between the panes, or are we going with simulated divided lights and upgrading the porch?
I think they should be allowed to do it as the rest of the house is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would agree too.
Want to make sure that we were all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion?
But just to be clear real quick, so I have it right for their COA tomorrow. So the windows will have the same ratio, but not be simulated divided.
If the rest of the house is not simulated divided lights, then we'll do it like the rest of the house is done.
Correct,
Gotcha.
David. I agree with that. So we're going on Jerry telling us that they're between the glass. I'm sure he's right on that. And but I do agree that if they need to confirm that they're between the glass.
Okay.
And they probably are. It looks like they may be.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry, continue with your motions.
I move that we approve the project with the windows as we just stated.
I second.
Okay, please answer. Jeff,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Cecile,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and mine is yes also. So we thank you.
Thank you
Jerry?
so much for your time. I really appreciate it, guys. And you have a blessed night, okay?
Y'all take
Thanks.
care.
You too.
Thank you so much.
The next one we have is 310 West Richardson Avenue. A sunroom addition.
Lots of sunrooms being done right now.
We
Yeah.
are.
Getting ready for summer.
Is there a presenter?
Yes, sir. This is Mike Taylor, the contractor.
All right.
Okay, Mike, tell us about it.
Just adding a little sunroom and actually a closet and bedroom on the back in that 10 by approximately 25 addition across the back. I think it's pretty straightforward with this one. We're certainly matching the lap wood siding. The windows are going to be, the 6/6 with the simulated grids. It'll have the wood trim around it, which is 2x4s. There's a little drip cap at the top, which is a 1x. It's got brick piers. And then the metal roof, we're just going to extend out. It'll be a hip roof over the back, just like it is now, really just going to extend out over that back. There's going to be a little porch off the back, just so that you can get out the back and down the stairs. And paint colors going to match. So really, at the end of the day, we're hoping that it looks exactly like it was. It's just a little bit longer.
This is Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
So I really like that you're going to match everything. And my only slight disappointment is this piddly little door in the back elevation, which I realize is on the back. But it's you've done such a lot of trouble to match everything else.
No.
Is that really the right door?
I should have had you draw it up, and you would have seen that door is actually proportional. Just I had somebody in the office helping me out draw this, and they put a little mini door there.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
So that is not really the door you're going to do.
It's not. It would be about 5 foot tall if that was the door.
Okay.
So we'd have to get some smaller people in the house. But
Okay.
but yeah, the door height is going to be very much more in relation to the window height. If not, well, there you go. So so we're going to be very, very close to where those windows are in the back when it's all said and done.
So Mike, I see the existing door there has a transom over it. Are you planning to do that again?
Really hadn't thought about that detail, but that door, actually, the transom looks to be a little bit taller. Ideally, I'd like to be right in line with it. So hadn't really went over that detail, but certainly if there's room for a transom, I think it looks good. And, we would definitely put it there.
I'm not sure you're gonna be able to line up the windows, because if you use a 6/8 door, you can see where that door comes in there now. It's below the window header.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
So really, once you get the mullion in between the door and the window and whatever, there may not be room for a transom, or if there is, it would be very small. But
I don't know what the head height is of those windows, but would you consider a 7-foot door if that gets you closer, or something, just so that they're proportionally nice? What is the window and door head height on this house?
well, certainly looking at what we got there, I would think they're probably around 7 foot. So
Well, there you've got, on the front door, you've got the header of the door being below the header of the window and the transom being above, which looks fine.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Would the door be on the sunroom wall? Is that how it's going to be? Like, just so I'm looking at the back elevation, like, are the windows in the sunroom and the doors in the sunroom? Is that what the elevations are trying to show?
Yeah, so the sunroom area, I've got a floor plan on there too. So just, I think is what you're asking, I believe. The sunroom area is going to have the door leading out to the back deck with the other associated windows in that room.
Okay.
And then really the only other window we've got is the one that's going to be in the bathroom, which is on the left side elevation.
It really is too bad you drew it like this, because the rear elevation looks like it's the same length as the sides. So it's very, it should be a lot narrower, which would change how how it's spaced out and looking.
I would agree. Definitely not as wide as it appears.
Yeah. Well, are you vaulting the ceiling in that sunroom, or what are you doing?
No, it'll be the same height as the other ceilings, which I believe about 9 foot.
Yeah. Well, I know it's on the back, so it's not going to be very visible, but it really would be a shame if the detail of this house is the transoms and you put in a little titchy door. But I'll accept, or I'll listen to what my fellow board members think about that.
I agree.
The building has got kind of nice proportions.
Yeah.
It's a little tiny building, but to have the detail of doors with transoms, I think it'd be nice to carry it through to the back door also.
Given that that's what is there now.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Mike, that begs the question, what kind of door are you going to use? A wood door?
Yes, we're going to use a wood door in the back. So yeah, and certainly putting that transom on top, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do that, and then I would say I would make a motion that we would approve it with all details to match the existing house.
Yeah.
I have one more question. On that little back stoop that you've got there, is there going to be any cover on that, or does it just go straight out the door to the step, or how's that planned?
Well, once again, when you look at the left and right hand elevation, it almost looks like the hip roof is coming over the porch, which it's actually not. I can make that correction and send it back over, but we were going to have a little shed roof over the back like it currently has. So there's the hip roof, and the picture that we've got of the back of the house really was going to be almost, yes. So that's what it was going to be, just out 10 foot. And this laundry room on the back on the left is obviously going away. We're going to find a spot inside. And then the AC is going to move as well. So, but yeah, the hip roof is not extending out over the porch, but we did want to do a shed roof like what you see there.
So it'll have a shed. Okay.
I think that would be nice, like just duplicating all those details, just, adding another little filler piece in the middle.
Yep, I agree. Next time, Mike, get Rachel to draw it for you.
I certainly will, and I'm actually not bad myself. I put somebody else on it because I had too much going on, and now that you guys picked it apart, I'm slightly embarrassed, But anyhow, the next one will be much better, guaranteed.
All right, we would appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
We're going to start being harder about these things going forward, I think.
All right.
All right.
I second the motion. Tim's motion.
All right.
Hey, Tim, you want to say the motion again, just so we get it straight?
Sure. So I'll make a motion that we approve the plans as submitted with all details to match existing, including siding and windows. The windows will have simulated divided lights. The rear door will be made of wood and will have a transom to match the existing, and the rear stoop will have a shed roof to match existing.
And the hip roof will not extend over the porch.
Correct.
And the hip roof will not extend over the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a second.
Yes, I did.
Cecile did.
All right. Let me call the roll then. Jeff,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Cecile,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and mine is yes. So thank you very much, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well,
Good luck,
doing it
Mike.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
good
We'll see you
luck.
next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Becca, I think it's yours now. The UDO discussion.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Thank you. I'm using my phone and a laptop, so it's kind of busy. So Jesse's gonna hop back on. She got kicked off for whatever reason, but basically this is just gonna be a general discussion about the UDO and council wanting to repeal it. We are having like a general discussion in all of our citizen committees, just to make sure we get everyone's feedback. So, I mean, if there's anything, I'll take notes, obviously. And I mean, Jessie should be back on here in a minute. She texted me and said her Zoom suddenly stopped working right when she actually needed to be on. But is there anything that y'all feel like you want our town administrator and council to know, or anything about the UDO in particular?
Can we talk about design guidelines too? Or is that a separate issue?
Well, so our guidelines aren't going to go anywhere with the repeal of the UDO. At least that's my understanding, is that they will not go anywhere. There are a few things that the UDO enforces that, you know, may go away, that our guidelines kind of follow. Oh, there's Jessie.
Hey, Jesse.
We can talk about design guidelines if there's something, you know, really specific and pertinent now, but the UDO, I think, is the first thing we want to talk about.
Okay, just how many of us were on the camp thing today?
I believe it was you, Phil, and Cecile.
Okay, well, all I wanted to say was that I came out of that session thinking that we need to tighten up our design guidelines, and also, and we'll probably get more information from the thing on Thursday, and also tighten up some of the ways that we do things. I was very impressed with the first speaker who was talking about our policing powers by having an ordinance saying what our responsibilities were. And I think that, you know, we need to look at those again. I don't know how Phil feels, but
well, the legal side of it is always going to be a problem. I mean, it's always, somebody's going to find a way to get around anything that we have written. As far as our guidelines, as far as that in connection with the UDO, is the only thing that needs to be changed is our Appendix E, which is the UDO. And we'll have to change that back to whatever town council decides we're going to.
I thought they brought out some good things that we probably ought to have better enforced in our design guidelines, things like windows and doors. And
well, with that being said, why don't we circle back to that, David, after Thursday? And then
I just wanted to bring it up since it was fresh on mine.
Sure. No, I agree. I mean, it was a great presentation. So what I'll do is once we go through the Thursday session, and I can get the recording and the PDF documents from Brad at the state office, then I'll send it out to everyone, and then we can kind of circle back and discuss ways we can tighten up our guidelines and change things. But for tonight, we'll just discuss the UDO. And Jesse, if you have anything you want to go over with them, I'll hand it over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Becca. So basically, we're doing this with all our boards. As I think all of y'all are aware now, council gave first reading to repeal and replace the UDO back at the beginning of February. But one thing they did task us with is speaking to the public and also our boards to determine what portions of the UDO we feel need to be included in any ordinance we have going forward. And so basically that's what we've been doing with our boards since that time. So we've spoken with the DRB, with the Planning Commission, and now we're speaking with y'all as well to kind of get your feedback on what portions, if any, of the UDO you feel definitely need to be included in any ordinance that we end up with moving forward.
I have a couple of questions, Jesse.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the kind of timeline if it's changed?
So, like I said, they gave first reading at their meeting on February 4th. We're holding a public hearing on March 15th. The Planning Commission meeting on March 15th will be the public hearing. So of course, y'all are welcome to come to that. And then I don't know if council plans to take it up just at their regular April meeting or if they want to move it faster than that. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, my overall comments are like really just less about being a BAR member, because I don't see that necessarily affecting very much of the work that we see. But as an architect in town, there are two issues around it. And one is that I had shared with you before, I never liked the design guidelines. I thought they were inappropriate, and for many reasons. But the biggest piece is that it takes a long time to get a project, thought of, the conception, and anyone who's doing that is thinking about what the current zoning is, or even, like the Carroll House project that I'm working on, we're starting to go into phase 2, and then having zoning change in the middle, where we've already got a concept, we've shown this board that work of where we want to go, and then if the zoning changes, so parking changes and other things change, I mean, it's hugely not just disruptive, but catastrophic. But even starting other new projects, there are some that we have been made aware of and are starting work on that have come into possibility primarily because of the kinds of parking changes that came with the new zoning, and would be extremely difficult to and you know, and visualize if we didn't have that. So, I mean, my reactions would be, it is going to be really, really, really hard for Somerville to be attracting business right now when we're in this flux. And it really speaks badly of us that we're having this change. And then what happens to projects that are in the middle and haven't, you know, they're being phased? And then the summary of all that is that I think parking is probably the biggest impact that affects anybody who's wanting to do development. And that piece I actually agreed with in the new zoning. The design guidelines I didn't like at all. I thought they were badly written and not Somerville.
Are you talking about design guidelines in the UDO or?
In the UDO.
Not our design guidelines.
No, in the UDO.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. I will clarify that from the feedback I've received from council members, they are planning to keep the actual zoning districts and uses the same. So they will bring, my understanding is they do want to bring that over no matter what we do. So that does at least provide some consistency. But I do understand your concerns with the parking. We did basically decrease our parking minimums by half. Which, you know, created a lot more flexibility for folks with their site design. And
right.
So I thank you for those comments.
What was the Carroll project you're talking about?
Do you remember the historic house that we renovated that was
the place that's the French Emporium or whatever?
You know the greedy developer.
It's 211 West Carolina.
Yes,
West
211.
Richardson.
Yes, thank you. So that property, we've finished doing the repair and renovation of the main old house. And we're just starting work on the two smaller office buildings that were really put on hold primarily because of the pandemic changing everything on, you know, money availability, need for those kinds of spaces. Like it really had a huge impact. So that project is it's just starting up again, and changes in parking would be like huge. I don't think we could do it if we had to do parking without what was in the UDO.
Yeah, and I have talked to Tom Wallington about the possibility of the changes, and so I'm aware of his concerns, and he said he is planning to either speak or submit comments for the public hearing. So anybody else have any specific comments regarding aspects of the UDO that they feel, you know, they would like to carry over or keep intact?
Jesse, one thing I had, and I've had a question about that years back, we had to change the BAR ordinance because the ruling or the law changed that originally the ordinance, the appeal of anything was to town council. And according to the state requirements, all the appeals had to go to court. And then all of a sudden we got hit. And well, the minor thing is really what is the only thing that's affected us really, but that with that fence project that the adjacent owner appealed it to us rather than to the court. And I've never really asked or found out what the legal business of it is how we wound up all of a sudden not things having to go to court anymore.
So
not having to go to court?
The difference on that is, so basically with the UDO, we did create a minor COA and a major COA. So the major COAs come to y'all for review and approval. The minor COAs are what come to Becca, like you know, if someone's just changing the paint color, or if they're just, you know, doing some landscaping or something minor that, you know, doesn't, you know, switching out windows, but they're still meeting, you know, the requirements in y'all's guidelines, that type of thing. We allowed that to be approved at staff level with a minor COA rather than having to come to the full board, to try and give homeowners, you know, some more flexibility and less cost when, and because, you know, time is money, less cost when dealing with their, you know, just maintenance and those type of things. And so the reason that fence project was appealed to y'all instead of to the court was because it was a minor COA approval. So it was approved by Becca at staff level because the ordinance allowed her to approve it at staff level. And so the ordinance states that the minor COAs can then be appealed to you, to the board. But if it's a board decision that's made, that would have to be appealed to circuit court.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, it kind of puts us as volunteers, but it puts us in a heck of a bind there, having to rule against one or the other. We were fortunate. We talked them into working it out between themselves.
Which they haven't done.
No, but that was it, kind of a, you know, which neighbor do we choose? We go towards, and unfortunately, the way the ordinance is all written, the owner was right. The owner did what the ordinance allowed, and so therefore there wasn't much we could do about it.
Yeah,
Phil,
that was also an asking forgiveness rather than permission.
right. And Phil, I think that's one of those things where, you know, really, I think the way that the minor permit approval, BAR minor work permit is set up is like, who was it tonight that wanted to, Mr. Dungan, who wanted to paint the masonry surface, you know, on that home. You know, I couldn't approve that at a minor level. So, you know, technically it was an appeal to y'all to be approved. So I think that's what it's set up for more than anything. I think that horrible fence situation was kind of a one-off, but I understand your concern there.
Not generally going to be a neighbor that's appealing it. It's going to be like if somebody submits,
that person.
Yeah, like say the owner submits to paint their house a certain color, which doesn't kind of meet what your guidelines say. Like say it's a, you know, a Victorian and they want to paint it, you know, black or so, you know, something that Becca can't approve at level.
We've had those. We had one wanted to paint fake polka dots.
So what it is then when Becca says she can't, you know, she denies that color, they can appeal her decision to y'all. It's not, I mean, the way it's worded, yes, a neighbor can appeal her decision, but that's not really what it's intended to take care of. So.
Well, that's the only thing that we've come up against with us versus the UDO. It was a bit of a surprise because we didn't realize that there was that condition in there. Maybe we should have, but we didn't.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something you want to make sure is carried over is the fence. So the fence requirements, which obviously we're trying to get an amendment approved to those to address the corner lots, but is that something y'all would want definitely included in whatever it's carried over is those fence requirements? Because prior to the UDO, we didn't really address fences at all in the ordinance per se. We didn't.
I thought what you presented to town was very good. That really straightened it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too, Jesse. And you know, it would be nice if we adopted some fence guidelines as well, because what we're seeing everybody install are 6-foot stockade fences. Mm-hmm. And as you'll see from many of the examples that Jesse provided from other districts, you know, they don't allow stockade fences. You have to have posts to interrupt, and you have to have some design to them, basically, so that at least they look decent. You can still have a 6-foot fence. It
Right.
just can't be a wall
Of boards.
pickets, of boards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's certainly
many,
something y'all can look at, I
Yeah.
think the other stuff that's come up with the camp and that, maybe it's time to look at some more changes to the guidelines now that y'all have had a chance to use them
Yeah.
and understood what you need a little more in them. Certainly not a bad time to have maybe a more workshop type discussion of how those could change.
Yes.
right, yeah.
Something that came up today, and y'all who live in the historic district can probably speak to this more than I can. So one of the churches contacted me, and they're wanting to expand their worship hall, and the parking requirements for the UDO make it possible for them to do that. So I don't know if y'all know more about the churches that are within the historic district, but to me, it seems like a lot of them, if they ever want to expand under the previous ordinance, they wouldn't have a leg to stand on to do that as far as parking is concerned with their limited space. That just, when we were talking about parking a second ago, reminded me of that. So I think that's something that should be taken into consideration too, Jesse. I know it's from my perspective as a staff member and not knowing much of anything about the churches in the historic district like y'all do. But it did come up today.
The churches have pretty much been able to count on public spaces for their parking requirements, and Sundays is kind of a recognized free-for-all for finding a place to park, and not dedicated parking on site necessary. I don't think most churches anywhere would be able to provide on-site parking to meet the needs of the Sunday morning.
There's many of the churches in the historic district have already come to us with a master plan of what they plan to do, and all the ones that have been approved. I don't know if you start changing the requirements, what that will do to the approvals that we gave of master plans that might not now fit the
Right.
new requirements.
Yeah, that's something like I said, when I talked to Tom Wallington, that's kind of what I talked about, because y'all pretty much approved his kind of master plan. But, obviously it's kind of phasing longer than he anticipated to begin with. So I told him I would have to get, the town attorney's opinion. But I thought he may be able to be considered vested because he has continued, to work on parts of the master plan, just not, the specific new buildings yet. But again, I need to get a better understanding from our legal counsel as to how that may be affected. Anybody else have any comments about anything specific in the UDO that, again, you want to make sure it gets carried over if possible?
The big thing would be that it doesn't conflict with anything that we've worked up with our design guidelines. And that's because we pretty much go by that rather than the UDO. And I think the UDO pretty much falls in line with it. So, as long as the two are compatible and we don't fight each other.
Okay.
Well, and y'all, just to echo Jesse, I mean, essentially, if we don't tell, this is my understanding, if we don't tell council that y'all want to still have some level of minor approvals, that will go away. So everything will have to come before y'all.
No, we want minor level approval at staff level.
I just wanted to bring it up because we hadn't really touched on that part of it.
Well, that's the only area that that we've really wound up into any kind of a confused area.
Yeah, we just need to
But
have clear guidelines for people to make minor decisions to staff.
Right. Right. And I think that's something y'all can discuss when y'all, get into your design guidelines and any changes that may need to be made. Like I said, now that you've had a chance to use those guidelines for a little over a year or so, you get a better idea of what you need to provide more guidance on and what you don't. So
Right.
it's always, always going to be a work in progress, which is why we made those guidelines that can be changed,
Right.
a little more easily, because we knew it was because it's the first time we've had them, we knew it was going to be something we were going to have to kind of make some edits to along the way to make sure we're providing enough guidance for folks, and also for Becca, of course, and her decision
Right.
too.
Jesse, did you watch any of the camp thing today?
I did not have a chance to. No, I had a
Okay.
different training this morning. I kind of heard some of it times when I had to ask Becca some questions, but I
Well-
didn't have a chance to really pay attention to it.
Let
It was
me
really
brag on
good.
us for just a second. The second talk that they had, that was very prominent on the
Okay.
page. That was, they were talking about guidelines, and ours was one of the ones that they were tooting the horn about. So
Well, I know
Yeah.
I know camp has always been very informative and helpful for y'all that have been able to attend. I remember Meredith talking about how helpful it was. And I think the last time y'all went was first time we went, I can't remember, was when we decided to pursue the guidelines. So
The first time.
yeah, so I mean,
yeah,
it's
we went up
certainly
with Meredith
a
to
great
Columbia.
great training that I'm glad y'all get to participate in. So
Yep. It's actually very valuable.
agreed.
That's a lot better than watching some of those things that
Exactly,
we've
and
had to watch.
it actually
that had
relates
nothing
to
to do
what
with
y'all do. Yes,
Right.
agreed.
It was actually pertained to what we do and was helpful. It was wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
As opposed to
understand.
some of those things we have sat
That-
through.
I completely understand.
The absolute best part of it is they tell us how important we are.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
questions, one of my questions are going to be is will this count for our 3 hours of?
I think we should. Yeah, I mean, I think
It
we
did
does.
last time.
We were
passed
told
for
that
it.
it would be.
Yes.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when we went to Columbia, it did count all
Yes.
6 hours.
It will. Yeah, they'll send y'all something. They're gonna send it to me too, even though I don't have anything to put it towards. So I'll make sure that Pam gets that information for y'all and makes sure it's logged in.
Yeah, if y'all get the videos of these things, it would be good if
I'm
the
going
rest of
to.
the board could review that as their requirements for continuing education, because it
Yeah, I wish we could count. Unfortunately, the way the state works with you tend to have to view it in the original broadcast for it to actually count towards your training, unfortunately. Doesn't mean it won't be great for y'all to have that resource to watch as you can for those who weren't able to attend. But yeah, we the way the state continuing education credits work, you do generally have to view the actual original broadcast of a webinar.
But those silly things we took down at BCD were not originals.
Again, there's some that they allow to count, but I mean, we can certainly see if it's a possibility. But I think the reason that they do it that way is because they don't have a way to verify. Like when y'all were viewing the Zoom meeting, they can verify that you're logged in the whole time viewing the Zoom meeting. But if someone says, "Oh, I watched the video,"
I was thinking,
we want to be able to trust everyone and know that but apparently the state doesn't trust us to know that y'all have actually watched the video. So
we did something a year or two ago. It seemed to me that we did it right there at town hall, and one of y'all was the
Proctor.
coordinator or the person that was responsible for it. We signed in and
Right.
you all
Yeah,
did this.
I mean, we can certainly check to see if that's a possibility.
Because these were great. I mean, it really was. This was a fantastic 3 hours that we spent this afternoon.
Sure, we can certainly check on that and see if that's a possibility. Because I
Okay.
agree, it's much better to have training that actually pertains to what you do for the town rather than just random training just to say you got your 3 hours.
Yeah, I learned a lot about planting grass in Maryland last year.
Yeah.
I learned about bird sanctuaries.
In Alaska.
Flood mitigation in Annapolis.
Trying to expand y'all's horizons a little bit.
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
All right. Are we
All right,
finished?
well, I
Cool.
appreciate y'all's input. We'll certainly
Yeah.
take this into account, and hopefully council, I know, wanted to hear from the boards as well, so I know they'll take it into account as well, and we'll try and hopefully come up with something that works for everyone. So
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
With
thanks,
the
Jesse.
UDO, we had y'all did provide us with ongoing reports of what was being
Yeah, I'll
developed.
certainly let you
Please.
know as we move forward.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now, we don't really have a draft of anything. We're still
Oh, I know.
working to figure out what to include, but as soon as we have something, we'll definitely reach out to y'all and get you that info and again, allow input.
It's a lot easier, unfortunately, to tell you what we don't like in what you're preparing than it is to sit here and try to tell you what we would like.
I understand.
Right.
Understand.
Oh, well, on that
Anybody
note,
else?
no, but I need to go say
Over and
goodnight.
out.
Okay. I was going to ask for an
Yeah.
event.
Need a motion.
I'll
Oh,
make a motion.
second.
Hey, all in favor, turn your systems
Cameras
off.
off. All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank
Jesse,
y'all.
thanks for
Good
joining
night.
us.
Everybody.